Alright guys, so I did start the coilover install. Yesterday I didn't have my camera, so you guys saw none of it. But I finished up the back, and it's on jack stands on the front right now, but this is where it's sitting. I feel like I may need to give this some more height. This might be too low, but I haven't taken it for a test drive yet. And I did finish the passenger side front. As you can tell, that tire's much higher off the ground than that one. See a new coil over in there. I feel like I'm gonna have to raise it up a bit more though. I think I might be too low. And when I was installing the back, it took me forever because to get to the rear shock mount, which is way over there somewhere, I had to take out the speaker and I had to take out all my amps and stuff like that, and that was a pain. But here's the last coilover for the front. Oh, yeah. All my tools, and I am going to work on getting this one done. Alright guys, so as you may be able to tell, the coilovers are in the car, and it is low. It is really low. You can barely get a finger in there. The front's a little bit higher. And I did that intentionally because around here the roads suck a lot, and I would be bottoming out all the time if I didn't. So, all in all, it's lowered about 3 inches in the back and about 2 inches in the front. Little side profile. Yeah, buddy. See if you can see the spring in here. Just barely. And guys, I did not film any of the install like I said I was going to. One, because I suck at YouTube and I forgot my camera. The first day I went, it took me a day and a half to do everything. But I'm really sweaty right now, so I'll talk more about the install once I get back to the house. Alright guys, so hopefully you can see me, but back at the house now, and I almost feel weird talking to the camera while I'm not in the car, because now I'm forced to look at the camera, and I don't have a rose to look at, but I'm looking that way anyways. And so, as I was saying before, I didn't film any of the install of the coilovers because I suck at YouTube and I forgot the camera the first day, which is when I did mostly everything. And to be honest, you know, if someone commented saying that they really want to see, I might have tried harder. But since I did the whole thing myself, I didn't have any helping hands really at all. I just wanted to get it done. Took long enough as it did. But the reason why I did want to make that video, you know, of the install that I didn't make in the first place, was just to show, you know, the kind of stuff that happens when you're working on your car. Because all the videos on, you know, LMR, American Muscle, you know, they all say, oh, 4-hour install time. Nothing ever goes wrong. It'll go perfect. Don't worry. But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess they're just trying to make sales. So, I mean, every car is different. For instance, on my car is a convertible, and it also has the Mach 1000 sound system. So the back, I started with the back. The back took me a majority of the day. I started at noon. I didn't finish the rear until about maybe 6 o'clock. So, like I said, since it was a convertible, it has the Mach 1000 as well. With the Mach 1000, to get to the rear shock mounts, not only do you have to take out all the trunk liner, but you also have to take out the entire sound system from the trunk, which it's not crazy difficult, but it's like an extra, dozen or so, maybe more, maybe a little bit more than a dozen extra bolts that you have to take out with a little tiny ratchet, and you can spin it only an eighth of time each turn, so it just takes, it's not hard, but it's time consuming. Then, also on the rear, I didn't really hit any snags on the rear. The rear was pretty easy. The only snag I think I might have hit, due to the fact that my car is a convertible, when you're installing the springs and taking out the stock suspension, if you have stock suspension, you don't need a spring compressor. But I think because my car is a convertible and it's heavier, the spring rate of the rear springs is different. So I had a stiffer spring. So I had the body all the way up and I had the axle as low as it would go, but the spring would not budge. So that took a lot of patient prying, literally, with the crowbar. So if you have a convertible and you're taking out your stock springs, you have to try to pry the spring from the bottom inwards towards the differential, and you can snake it out that way. You'll hit the exhaust mount, but they're made of rubber and they just kind of bend out of the way. And what I did was I pried it and hit it with a hammer, and it eventually came out. So the rear wasn't difficult, but just time consuming. And also, the SRV2 coilover is supposed to lower your car 1 to 3 inches, So if you have everything bottomed out as low as it could go, it should lower the car 3 inches. I did not want to lower my car 3 inches. I wanted to go for 2 inches all around. But as I mentioned, the back is lowered. It has been lowered about 3 inches. I did take before and after measurements. Not sure if I took note. Yeah, I didn't take note of the after. But all 4 corners, from the bottom of the wheel to the top of the fender, or bottom of the fender rather, on all corners was 25 inches. The back is now at about 22, and the front is about at 23. The thing is, though, I think also since my car is a convertible and it's heavier, the kit could actually lower it more in the back, because the way the kit comes, the back is not a coilover. It's just an adjustable spring and an adjustable shock. And I mounted the spring. Let's see, how do I describe this? I wish I had the part now. The lower shock mount is threaded, and there's a lock nut on it, and the spring stuff sits on top of it. So if you want to lower the car, you would back the spring off, back the nut off the spring. And that section is about 3 inches long. So I was like, 1 to 3 inches, maybe it's an inch per inch. So I moved the nut up on that to about halfway up it, and it still lowered my car 3 inches. And it's a good thing I, started at that and didn't, start from the lowest point and move up, because if I did, pretty sure my rear fenders would be pretty messed up right now, because I didn't lower the car very angelically, I guess. But yeah. Then on the front, the next day, one day in about 7 hours, I did the back and I did one side on the front. Then it got dark out and I was tired, so I was like, you know what? I'll do the other side tomorrow. And it's a good thing I did that, because when I first bought the car, I had issues with the brakes, and the front brakes, and I could not figure them out. They were just locking up, seizing up, would not budge. So I decided to take it to a garage down the street from where I was living at the time. And when they worked on it, they really cranked down the bolts for the caliper bracket. And so the other side that I did the day before, I already had that caliper bracket off once before to replace a wheel bearing, so that side wasn't difficult. But this side hadn't been off since they worked on it, and it's been a few years at this point. And they cranked those bolts on really freaking tight. I actually broke a 3-inch extension and a 1/2 inch to 3/8 ratchet adapter trying to get that bolt loose. So I ended up having to go to Lowe's, and I spent a lot of money on some tools, well-needed tools. I needed some impact sockets, metric impact sockets, and I need more, impact extensions, that kind of thing. So I spent like $100 on tools. So, I mean, that's just things that happen, when you work on your car. I'm just glad I broke the tool and not the bolt, so I didn't have to drill and tap a hole. But there's that. But then yeah, after that was all said and done, the front was very easy. The springs came out no issue. Actually, the whole install really wasn't that bad at all. And then of course I went to Firestone to get it aligned. They actually didn't give me an issue, and it's aligned now, which is great. Just drive straight and the tires are going to wear evenly. But yeah, the install was not bad, but it's going to be time consuming, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And you might break some tools. And you might get smacked in the face by a spring. That did not happen to me though. But yeah, as far as ride quality goes, if you read the reviews on them, a lot of people say that they are bouncy, and they're definitely bouncy, but I don't think it's bouncy. I think it's just really stiff, so there's not really much give when you hit a bump. You really feel every bump in the road when you have these springs on. And the reason why I think it's so stiff is because my rear tires are like this far away from my fender, and they had not yet touched them, and I've hit some really big bumps. So I get no tire rub, even though the tire's this far away from the fender. So it's very, very stiff. It's a very stiff spring. The front, this is another thing about the struts up front. The struts have an adjustment on them. You can turn a knob one way or the other way to make it harder or softer. But there's no way of telling what the spring is currently on as far as that setting goes, because you could turn the knob any which way infinitely without it stopping. So like, I feel like they're almost just decoration. I don't really I don't know how to tell how hard or soft my spring is at the moment. I mean, I guess I could push on the car and see and get a rough estimate, but it's a rough estimate. So I haven't actually really messed with those just yet. But hey, they're in the car. The car looks pretty cool. I like it. I haven't really had that much driving time with them, but that will come shortly. I actually have to get the car emissions tested, so that should be fun. I usually pass it because it looks like I have cats, but as I said in a previous video, they are hollowed out, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so that is just an overview of my install of the coilovers and a 0-day review. Yeah, buddy.